Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another speed build. It's time for another mansion, of course it is. And I decided to build in Granite Falls. So this world belongs to the Sims 4 Outdoor Retreat, and the cool thing is you can simply build in this world. So the lot type is rental, but it's technically just like any other residential lot. You can grab it from the gallery and you can place it on any lot. So you could use this lot as a regular rental lot for Granite Falls. So you have a wonderful mansion to have a luxurious vacation, or you could just place it anywhere and you could have just another wonderful mansion. So I decided to call this build the Waterfall Cabin because it was inspired by this type of architecture, like a luxurious cabin, something that you would expect to see in Aspen, for example. And I built a lot of waterfalls. Here you can see how I'm working on the waterfalls. At first I raised the terrain, and this way I laid out the shape of the whole build and just the whole waterfall situation. So I raised the terrain in the center. It's pretty high, as you can tell. And then I built a slope. What I like to do is I just raise the terrain in sections and then I smooth it out a lot. And I've said this before, the trick is to apply any type of terrain paint. And as soon as the terrain paint shows, you know that your Sims will be able to walk on your slope, because when it's too steep, you can change the color and your Sims won't be able to walk on the terrain. So this is the little trick that I like to use. Even if you don't want to use any terrain paint, you can just apply the terrain paint to check if it's working, and then you can use the eraser to just get rid of the terrain paint. And here I'm just working on the waterfalls. So I didn't even use the terrain to create the waterfalls initially. I just placed different pools and I just used the arrow to change their height. In this way I just have these cascading pools almost. And I placed a lot of debug rocks. You can use any type of rock for this. I just decided to use these kind of beige debug rocks, and at the bottom I placed one which is part of Eco Lifestyle actually, but I didn't like the color and it was too big and I didn't like it. So I just tried to hide the edges of the pool. The problem is, or the problem that I was running into, sometimes when your rocks are too big, you can't really see the pool. Like there are so many rocks that it's kind of overbearing and you don't even see that there is some type of waterfall situation going on. So I later used tool to change the scale of the rocks. So we now have precision scaling, as I said in another video, which makes it easier to change the size of an object. So I just made them ever so slightly smaller, because as you can tell here, there is a lot going on rock wise. There's just a lot happening, and here I changed the position of the slope, and you can once again see how I like to just work out the shape and how I smooth out my slopes. I wanted to expand the water area in the front because again I felt like the water wasn't visible enough, and at this point I wasn't really sure if I was happy with the whole design, which is why I moved the lot later on. So here at this point I have my waterfall on the left side, and I knew that I would like to build my mansion on the raised terrain, and I felt like, I don't know, it just looks too bulky and not balanced enough. I just have a huge waterfall on the left and then a huge mansion on the right, and I wasn't sure if this was really working. So later on I decided to just move my lot a little bit to the right, and then I added some type of bridge to the left and just a little building where Sims could hang out and enjoy the view. And of course I also added lots of trees. Whenever I'm working on some type of cabin build, I know that you guys will tell me that this is not a cabin, and of course you're right. This is more of like some type of over-the-top luxurious mansion, so this is not really a proper cabin, but like this kind of style. So whenever I'm working on a build like this, I really like to use a lot of just different trees, mostly those that came with Auto Retreat. So when you take a look at the debug menu and when you are looking at all the Auto Retreat objects, you will see that there are a lot of trees and bushes, plants that are really suitable for this kind of style, and it's just perfect, especially when you're working on a build like this in Granite Falls. It's just perfect. So it just all just fits together it makes sense. It's the perfect build for this world in my opinion. And I then decided to add some type of little balcony at the bottom. And at first I just wanted this to be separated from the rest of the build. So I wanted to have some type of balcony, or I don't even know, something like this, just something eye-catching, another area where your Sims would be able to hang out, and this way they could walk down and they could access the whole waterfall area and the pool, which is just really beautiful. But then I decided to just use this as the base for the complete mansion. So I'm going to just add a floor piece on top, and that's it. This is kind of where I started to work on the mansion. So sometimes, as I like to say, I just develop ideas as I go, and in this case I had no idea what would happen. I just started to work on the build. I had a pretty solid vision for the waterfall, but not really for the mansion. I just knew that I would like to work on a cabin, and whenever I do that, I really like to use the fences which are part of seasons. I can totally recommend these fences for this type of look. The wood color is just perfect. It's this very bright, vibrant kind of wood color, really warm toned, really beautiful. And the arch that I just placed at the bottom is part of Discover University. It's a debug object. There are a lot of cool debug objects in Discover University. Like, sometimes we get a new pack and then you take a look at all the new debug objects and you are kind of disappointed, or there's just something that really stands out. Nothing new, nothing that you will really want to use for a build. But Discover University has a couple of debug fences, which is amazing. I've talked about this before. In Get Together, for example, we have these fences which are just objects and not technically fences. And the same goes for these debug fences. Unfortunately, it's debug, so it's always a bit tricky to find them, but they're really amazing. We have just these small balconies that you can place in front of a window. I don't even know what they are called. And we have these arches, just all kinds of different amazing things. And sometimes for a proper mansion, these debug objects are just amazing. And here I'm starting to work on the mansion itself. So I decided to later on incorporate a couple of round shapes. Of course I did, you guys just know me. So I had to do that, and I simply used the tomb mod to create this round window facade in the front. But here at this point, I had no idea that I would do that. I was just starting to work on the build, and I just had to build something on the left side. As I just explained, it was too empty. I just had this huge bulky waterfall on the left side and then my mansion on the right side. I wanted to make this look balanced. This is just something, I don't know, this is just something you feel, I guess. You just take a look at it and then you think, does it look right? Does it feel right? Does it look balanced? This kind of thing. But I guess sometimes it's just good to zoom out a little bit and then just pan the camera around, take a look at your build and just see if something is bothering you, if you feel like something is missing in any area of the build, if you would like to add something, if it's too much. Like sometimes I just add a lot of rocks to a build, but what's really important sometimes is your whole color palette. Like here you can see that I used a lot of rocks, but I feel like it's not too much because they are all basically the same color and it looks not too busy to the eye. But when you just mix, I don't know, 3 different rock colors, it can be too much, for example. So this is also something that I always keep in mind. Don't add too many colors to a build. Like when you just look at a build, it just has to feel right. And sometimes I can't nail this, sometimes it's difficult, but this is just something that I've even explained in my earliest videos. I always just take a look at my build and then I try to see if it just feels right to me or not. And here I'm building a bridge. So of course I wanted to put a focus on the waterfall. And as I said, I wanted to add more stuff on the left side. And I felt like connecting it all with a bridge just makes sense. A bridge is always fun. It's eye-catching. It's a fun feature. And I just had to make sure that your Sims would be able to just cross that pool. I mean, it doesn't look like a pool anymore, but of course it's technically just a pool. And also, don't use fountains for this. I know that some people want to use a fountain for this type of build because your Sims can't enter a fountain and you don't have the problem that you really have to properly block your Sims path so they can't just swim in I don't know, a water feature basically. So the problem is you can't place anything above a fountain. So if you would like to use a fountain and then you want to build a room on top, I don't know, you maybe want to add a bridge just like I did, then this is not working. So always just make sure that you use a pool for stuff like this. It's like really, really easy and you are not running into any problems later on, and you can just you could just fence off the edge if you would like to. If you don't want your Sims to be able to enter the water, you could always just add a fence, for example. And when you are using the bug objects, some of them don't exist in the world of your Sims. They can just walk right through them. So when you're using the bug rocks to just block off the edge of a pool, for example, this might not work, in which case you could also just use a fence or maybe some regular rocks on the inside. You can always hide objects inside other objects, basically. And as you just saw, I added the round window facade. I've done this a couple of times for my builds, and I really like to use the tool mod for this, of course. I mean, you can rotate windows with the tool mod, and you can't do that without a mod. So I made a tool mod tutorial at some point, and I received a comment lately where someone said that you could just switch to the Sims 3 camera and you can just rotate objects, which is absolutely correct. I've talked about this in some of my tutorials. You can rotate objects freely, and I do that all the time. The problem is that the game does not allow us to rotate windows this way. And the same goes for wall decorations, paintings, anything that you replace on a wall usually also can't be rotated this way. And for this we can just use the tool mod, which is why I explained this in my tool mod tutorial. So if you want to recreate this round window facade, and if you are on PC and if you like to use mods, then I can just recommend checking out my tool mod tutorial. You can find the link down below. I always link my tutorial playlist down below in the description box. And here I'm adding another round section. I just wanted this to look balanced. As I always say, when I add a feature to a build, I most of the time try to repeat it in another area. And I just wanted to make this build look really interesting. And the build itself is divided into two different areas. So we have the main part of the build on the right side, and now here I'm working on the left part of the build, kind of, and I decided to connect them by simply building a really long hallway, and I placed windows all over the hallway so it's sun flooded, really, really beautiful. I didn't want to add, I don't know, like a whole big room in the back. This would have just turned out really bulky and just too much. So I just decided to connect these two different parts of the build with a long hallway, and I think this was probably the right decision. I think it just adds a twist to the build. It makes it almost a bit modern in this area, as you will see, and then I just try to tidy up what was going on in the back. Like when I'm working on a build and then I just take a look at the back or at the side and something's wrong, so I just change the walls a little bit and I add other windows. And this is the hallway here where I'm adding some eco lifestyle windows. Of course, you could also just use some other windows. I didn't want to use windows which like start at the very bottom and end at the very top, because this way, with this window size, you can still tell the wall color behind them, like the beautiful warm wood wall color or wooden wall color. So this is why I decided to use these windows, and they are beautiful. I'm kind of over the eco lifestyle builds, as I said, and now I'm just building whatever comes to my mind. But there are so many amazing objects in this pack. I'm still really excited about this pack, and I still use objects, but I haven't built a modern build in a while. Like when Eco Lifestyle came out, I created a lot of modern builds because I felt like this is what the whole pack is kind of about. I mean, it doesn't have to be. You can build whatever you like. And yeah, but for me, Eco Lifestyle, Eco Living, this kind of theme is always modern. And then I built a couple of modern builds, and then, I don't know, I just wanted to build a couple of non-modern builds as a palette cleanser, and now I'm still stuck, and I'm still building non-modern builds. But maybe I could build a modern home soon if you guys would like to. I don't know. But before we talk about future plans for builds or this build we are going to talk about the giveaway. So I decided to have a little giveaway so I could give you guys a little something back for your support and your love, because as you guys know, we have hit 100k subs on this channel recently, and I'm still all over the moon. I'm still so happy. I just look at the number and I still can't believe it, to be honest. It's crazy. So I decided to have a giveaway, and you could enter for I think 2 weeks, and this time around I decided to use Gleam. This way it's much easier to actually contact the winner. I've talked about this in the video where I announced the giveaway, but I want to quickly mention this. Like when I started my channel, when I did the first giveaways, I always told you guys to simply put something like giveaway or enter into the comments, and then I used a website, YouTube comment picker or something, I don't even remember, and there you could just enter the link to a video. You could type in the keyword like enter, for example, and then you could randomly pick a winner, and I did that. The problem was for my 50k giveaway that it took me like a while to actually contact the winner, so it was really tricky, and the more the channel grew, the more difficult it became to contact a winner this way, because people just left a comment, someone who just randomly commented and just kind of stumbled across the video and then didn't reply, so I had to pick the next winner and all that. So I always did that because I thought it was a good thing, so you didn't have to subscribe, you didn't have to follow me anywhere, so I always preferred this method. But this time around I decided to use Gleam, so it's just really easy, and I have the email address of the winner and I'm going to contact the winner, which is like the best method ever. Like, of course I didn't want to ask you guys to just publicly post your email address in the comments. We don't do that here, so this was kind of like the best option. I wanted to talk about this because for my other giveaways I always put an emphasis on how I don't want you guys to do anything to enter, because I want to give you guys something back. I don't want to gain anything. So now for the Gleam giveaway, what I did was I simply put a box and it said type anything. So you could follow me on Twitter, for example. You could do that to just enter, but you could also just use the type anything box. So you could just type anything you want, literally anything. Some of you did that, and that's it. And for future giveaways I'm going to do it the same way, because I still don't want you guys to just ask for a follow if you don't want to. You can simply just type anything, and some of you wrote the most amazing things. This is also amazing. I just did that so I could include something that would allow you to enter without following me, but some of you really used this function to just write the most amazing heartfelt messages, and it just made my heart melt. So thank you so much for your kind words. I was so touched and emotional. Someone even wrote a cute tiny poem, just the cutest thing ever. I love you guys so much, you just have no idea. So this was kind of like unexpected. As I said, I just added this function so you guys could enter this way, and yeah, some of you really wrote really heartfelt messages, and I really appreciate that. So I wanted to explain that, so none of you is like, yeah, why is she using Gleam now? Back then she always said she just wants to give something back, and now we have to use Gleam. So yeah, that's what's happening. So now the winner. The winner of the giveaway is Rebecca Hoffman, or Rebecca Hoffmann probably, because she's German apparently. So I blocked out personal information here, of course. So I'm going to contact you, Rebecca. I'm going to send you an email. You have 1 week to reply to claim your prize, the key, and if you don't reply within 1 week, I'm going to draw a new winner. But let's just hope that Rebecca is going to contact me. So I'm going to send you an email right after recording this, so check your emails. And thank you to anyone who participated. There will be many more giveaways in the future, and also I know that I'm kind of taking a while to get this done, but the shell challenge is coming and you guys can still win a key, and this will be fun. And someone advised me to ask someone who's super experienced with shell challenges to just help me look at the rules, and this is like good advice. I think I'm going to do that because the rules were kind of all over the place the last time. I'm sorry for that. So maybe I'm actually going to do that. Maybe I'm asking Isima, like some swimmers are hosting shell challenges literally like every 2 weeks or something. I'm going to see if I can find some help. I mean, I could do this myself, but I mean, why not? It's always good to have someone who's more experienced. So congratulations, Rebecca, and I'm sorry to anyone who hasn't won. There will be more giveaways. Don't be sad. And I love all of you. Thank you for entering, and thank you for your support and your kind messages. I love you. And now let's talk about the interior. Of course, I wanted this to look like a proper cabin or a mansion that you would expect in Aspen. Still hoping for a pack that includes skiing. I mean, we got this kind of survey a couple of months ago, and there were a lot of questions about skiing and stuff like this. Still crossing my fingers, and I bet the world would actually be Aspen themed. I know that a lot of simmers have been asking for a world that is not located in the US, so maybe something in Europe or other parts of the world, but for some reason we always end up in the US. And this is not bad, but I think it would be so fun to have a bit of diversity when it comes to the locations, also for storytelling. This is not only about representation, which is also important for a lot of simmers, but I think it would also be cool just for building styles, storytelling. Just imagine if we could be somewhere in Asia, like in Japan. Just imagine a world that is like really Japanese. How beautiful would that be? And there would be so many new possibilities. So I don't know, maybe we could have a skiing kind of mountain pack that is located in another part of the world other than the US. I don't know. We will see. Maybe we will never have a pack like this, but I think it's a bit suspicious that we got all these questions in the survey, don't you think? I also still haven't watched The Sims 4 Spark. You guys know that I'm like excited about the show to watch it, but I didn't have the time yet. It came out yesterday on BuzzFeed Multiplayer, so if you haven't watched it yet, but if you want to watch it, it's on YouTube now. Just look up the BuzzFeed Multiplayer YouTube channel. But yesterday was my boyfriend's birthday, and I just didn't have time to build, so I was really working hard on this build today to just finish some parts of the build and to record this voiceover, and I really wanted to get out a video today because of the giveaway, and like in general I just wanted to get this video out for you guys. So I didn't have the time to watch it, but I think later on before going to bed I'm just going to chill on the sofa and I'm just going to watch the episode on TV. I think they're going to be 4 episodes, and I'm just really excited. I just really want to see my favorite simmers working hard on stories and builds. This is just so cool. And this here is one of the kids' rooms. So I wanted to stay within the whole theme of the whole cabin thing, this whole kind of style and vibe. So I didn't change the floor color. I just used this wood floor. I also used this wood floor on the exterior, but I changed the wallpaper. Like here we have this super cute pastel pink wallpaper, for example. For the other bedrooms, I didn't change the wallpaper, like for the regular master bedrooms and all that. So I didn't do that. But for the kids' rooms, it just looked weird to have this like lots of pink and white, or here this pastel blue, and then there is like this super strong contrast because of the wood paneling on the walls. I also don't really like this in real life. Like for cabin kind of builds or mansions, it looks super beautiful when you have a lot of wood, but when I think of these like 60s kind of builds, houses where you have wood paneling, it feels almost claustrophobic. Like when I look at this, at pictures or anything or videos, it seems to be so dark, and I feel like there's not a lot of space. I don't know, it's like a brighter color sometimes is better. And this is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. You can find this build in the gallery as always. It's fully furnished, it's CC free, it's unmodded in the gallery. And congrats again to the winner, and I hope I see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a perfect week, and yeah, I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye.